Hi, hello everyone. As you could see, I've started my own booktube channel, and I was quite confused about the videos I would film, and I thought about doing the Booktube Newbie Tag, which is basically one of the generic videos I feel like everybody does at the beginning of starting their own channel. So I've written down all of the questions in this diary because I'm filming on the front camera of my mobile phone. So I've written all of the questions down over here, and first I want to apologize for the quality of the video or the bad lighting and some background noises, because I'm filming it on the front camera of my mobile phone, and I also do not have like any idea how to do this, so bear with me, okay? So without wasting any more time, I'll just start with the video. So question number one is, why did you start this channel? So I started this channel because I love reading and I love watching people read my favorite books. I've been watching booktube from a very long time, from like many years, and I've contemplated starting a channel so many times because I just love this part of YouTube. But I was really afraid to start a channel because I'm not a very outgoing person. I do not have a lot of friends, and I think the biggest fear about starting something like this is the fear of being judged, which I have suffered from like my whole life. So I was really afraid to start this channel, but I just thought everybody has to start at some point. So even if no one watches this, I thought maybe I should give it a shot. So I randomly picked up my phone and started filming this. So yeah, the main reason I started this channel is to share my love of reading with other people who love reading as well, and maybe meet new friends, because I don't have any friends who read, to be honest. So maybe meet new people who have similar interests as mine, and talk about books and just fangirl about my favorite books and my favorite characters. So yeah, let's move on to the next question. Okay, so question number 2 is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to booktube? So I think I'll just give the most basic and cliche answer, is that be myself. I'll try to be myself, and I think one of the most beautiful things about reading is that no matter how many people read a book, 100 people can read the same line and interpret it in their own different ways. So I'm just excited to share my point of view regarding the different books that I read. And I don't know what are the fun things I'll actually do. I'll try to do some reading vlogs maybe, and I like to cook, so maybe I'll do some cooking videos sometimes. I don't know, I could just literally delete this whole video and delete this whole channel. I'm still very much confused, but I'm excited to see what future holds. I don't like to keep too much expectations, so I'll just go with the flow and see where it takes me. Okay, so the third question is, what are you most excited for about this new channel? I think the most excited I am about is making new friends, because I have only a couple of friends and none who read. So I'll be very excited and very glad even if I'm able to make one friend who reads, with whom I can share my thoughts about reading, who can give me some book recommendations, and someone I can just chat with about the books that I read. Because sometimes when you read a book you really like, and you just want to talk about it with someone, but you have no one to talk to about it, it's a really really frustrating feeling. So I think I'd be very happy and very excited if I have someone to talk to about books. So yeah, that is the thing that I'm most excited about for this new channel. Okay, so the fourth question is, why do you love reading? And I don't think I have a single answer. I have so many reasons why I love reading. Reading has literally saved my life. You know, in times when life was not going as I wanted it to go, and I was just in a very bad space. Like reading books has been my constant throughout. Like, I mean, everything can change in life, but it has always been with me. And when I read, I feel like I'm never alone, you know. And I also read it for escapism, as a lot of people do. I love to read because, you know, when I read, I feel like I'm in the story. I just completely forget about my surroundings, and I'm in the story with the characters, living life through in their shoes, you know. So I think it is one of the most magical thing to ever exist. And I was someone who was not a reader from early on. Like, I did not read a lot when I was little, maybe because where I'm from, there's not really a big reading culture, and there aren't many bookstores. Forget about libraries. No one around me reads, to be honest. But I made myself a reader because I feel like just the idea of stories just changing lives, it just matters so much to me. And I grew up listening to stories from my grandmother, and stories have always been such a huge part of my life. So I think reading is just a continuation of that, my love for that stories. I just love to read because books are my best friend, you know. Even if I have nobody to lean on to, I can always go back to my favorite books, always reread my favorite sentences, and be happy. So yeah, I love reading because I'm more myself when I read. It makes me happy, it makes me calm, and it just makes me feel less alone. So I just love reading for all of those things and many more which I can't express. So yeah, let's move on to the next question. The question number 5 is, what book or series got you into reading? And this is quite a tricky question for me because I've been an on and off reader for many years before I actively started reading. But the earliest book I can remember that got me into reading is Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. I read it many years ago. I don't even remember. Maybe 7-8 years ago I read it, and I read it in one sitting. And reading before it had always been something I did for fun or to pass my time, and I just forget about it after I read it. But you know, I know something has really impacted me when I think about it, even days or weeks after I've done it. And this book was that thing for me. I was continuously thinking about this even days after I'd finished reading it. um, it it made me feel so many things that I had not felt any time before, you know. I just felt for this young girl, Anne Frank, and even though it is not a fiction, it is a real story of someone. And I think that is what impacted me greatly. I was really confused as how could a human being could do such heinous things to other human beings, because I was not really into the story before. I was not really acquainted with the story before, and I just felt, you know, all her emotions within me. I laughed with her, I cried with her, I saw her transform from a little child into a young lady, and I cried for her. I truly felt for her, and I think this book was one of the reason that I am what I am right now. So yeah, the book that got me into reading, one of those books I'd love to say, is Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. Okay, so the next question is, what questions would you like to ask your favorite booktubers? So the question I think would be some book recommendations. Yeah, as generic as it may be, I'd just ask them about their favorite books, maybe talk about their favorite books, and ask them if you could be friends, maybe. Yeah, that is the question I'd love to ask my favorite booktube. So question number 7 is, what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? As I said earlier, I am not a very outgoing person. I'm quite introverted. I don't have a lot of friends, and I think the biggest challenge would be to put myself, put myself in front of so many people, because no matter what it is, when you are starting something, there's always a fear of being judged. There's always a fear of what people are gonna think about it, and I think that is going to be my biggest challenge, because I've spent my whole life being in the backgrounds, being in the sidelines, and to put myself in front and in center, I think it is going to be quite difficult for me. It is a very new thing for me, so I think this is going to be my biggest challenge. And I think the hardest thing to overcome would be my insecurities about myself. I know everyone is not perfect. I feel myself to be a very flawed person, and I think it is the hardest thing to overcome would be judgment, not just from other people but from myself. And I feel like filming this video is one of the bravest thing I've ever done, and I'm kind of proud of myself for that. But there are days when you don't feel so good about yourself. Those things make me afraid. So just overcoming all those fears and not comparing myself with others and just trying to be authentic, these are the challenges I think these are the challenges that I'll basically face while starting this channel. Okay, so the question number 8 is, when did you start reading? And again, for this question I do not have any specific answer, because I started reading as far as I can remember. When I was little, we did not have means to actually read a lot of children's book. Maybe a lot of people grew up reading, and as I said earlier, my love for reading just started with my love for stories that I used to listen to from my grandmother. So but at the beginning of every school year, when we used to get all these textbooks for our literature subjects, I used to just flip through all the stories and read it the day I got new books. I think that is when I just started to love stories. The day I started to read all of the stories, I always had this anticipation to get new books, because I wanted to read those stories the day I got them. And even during my school days, we did not have a bookstore, or maybe I did not know about online shopping. I did not even have money, even if I did, and we do not have any libraries where I live. So sometimes when I was in school, some classmates used to bring some novels, I don't know from where, and we all used to just take turns reading those books. Everyone got to keep the book for like 2 days at a time, and I think that is my earliest remembrance of reading books apart from school textbooks, with those novels that the classmates brought, and we just circulated it among ourselves. Yeah, those are some of my earliest memories of reading, and I think that is when I started reading fiction. So question number 9, which is the penultimate question, is, where do you read? And I think this is going to be the shortest answer, because I read in my home, in my bed. Yeah, when I'm reading, 90% of the time I'm reading it in my bed. Yeah, that's the answer. So question number 10 and the last question. I'm sure there are other questions, but these are all the ones that I've written, which I've written like weeks earlier. And so the last question is, what kind of books do you like to read? And my answer is all types of books. I like to read all types of books. I'm not a very specific reader. I just read according to my mood. Sometimes I'm in a mood of like reading some fantasies. I read fantasy, and I read poetry, I read contemporary, but I rarely read like thrillers. That's something that I'm not too into, maybe because I haven't read really good ones. So if someone is watching this, please recommend me your favorite thrillers. But mostly when I'm reading, I like to read fantasy. I think it is one of my favorite genres. I also really like fiction, reading just fiction in general. I really like historical fiction also. So I read all. Oh yeah, and I also like to read classics sometimes. I actually did not read classics earlier, but since last year I think I've read some classics and I've really loved some of them. So yeah, I like to read different kind of books, and not just like genre wise. I Reading means also I do not have any specific favorite. Like I can read a paperback, I read a lot of ebook. I feel like because books are really expensive, so a huge chunk of the reading that I get done is from ebooks and audiobooks. So I like to read all forms of books, all types of books and all genres of books. So I don't have any specific preferences. I just like the act of reading, no matter what kind and what type it is. So yeah, those were all of the questions. So I've done 10 questions, and if anyone is still watching this, thank you so much. I'm not sure if I'm going to post it. I've just filmed 10 questions, but I'm not sure if I'm confident enough even now to post this. Maybe I'll regret it if I don't. Maybe I'll regret if I do. So if I really do post it, and if you are watching it, and if you are with me till the end of this video, then thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching it. So yeah, thank you.